Well, thank you, Frank, for an in-depth analysis of the latest CBN data showing Nigeria's FX reserves at the $41.0 billion as of August 19, the highest in 44 months. Well, and what it means for Nigerians. We're now joined by Dr. Paul Alaje, an economist. Thank you so much. Always a delight to have you on the news.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So, I mean, like Ngozi rightly said, introducing that story, it should be music to the ears, right? It does look like the monetary policies of the CBN are paying off. But let's look at the mix. Crude oil earnings, non-oil exports, and our diaspora remittances. We cannot forget those. Which of this is really driving this surge that we are seeing, and which is the most sustainable in the long term?
Well, I think what contributes to this, they are not less than four. You were very correct. Over 70% of our foreign earnings come from crude oil. Then we have diaspora inflow. But what is not also known is that monies that we borrow them, the foreign loans also account for this, because when we borrow those money, they go to our reserve. The central bank releases the Naira equivalent to respective government agency or the state, as the case may be, to execute whatever project they have. So oil, crude oil, non-crude, diaspora remittance, and loans, that's foreign loans, they all come together to account for what we've seen. So when you see government say they borrow money either in billions of dollars or euro, whatever it might be, such money goes to the votes of the central bank, technically goes to our reserve, then the equivalent is what is released for the implementation of the project. So I can't say that when it comes to crude, it's good. The challenge is that we cannot predict what the future will be. Global economic quagmire, crisis, there could be oil gone, there could be a slum, all of those bring volatility, so we cannot predict what the future looks like. Non-oil sector seems to be predictable because it depends on the capacity of our manufacturer. Now at home, we say we have natural resources. What many did not know, that having natural resources is not the same thing as raw material, because what you call natural resources may not be what is ready that can be used as input in our industry. So manufacturers, you wonder, we still now import raw materials for their factory, even though what we need to have is just ability to process those process those natural resources into raw materials that can be used by manufacturers, so that we don't have so much dependent on what is coming into our country. So finished product, we certainly help us. Diaspora remittance is another one that we need to look at. Yeah, because when Nigerians are abroad and they have faith in their country, their families, their businesses, some of them want to look at our booming real estate. According to National Bureau of Statistics, the performance of real estate sector has since improved thanks to diasporans, Nigerians abroad, who think that the currency they earn might be much higher in exchange rate than what Nigerians are earning back at home. So they want to invest that back into the economy. And loan, we have to be very careful about it. Why? Because exchange rate today might not be tomorrow.
Paul Alaje, that's exactly where I want to come in. I mean, increasing forex reserves vis-a-vis increasing government borrowings, high debt to revenue ratio, declining foreign direct investment and all of that. Yes, $41 billion does sound like something to be excited about. But when you remember that as of 2008, Nigeria could boast of $64 billion in forex reserve. Against this backdrop now, can you really say that this uptick is sustainable? Or what do we need to put in place to make this, a long-term reality?
So what I'll first say is that, yes, the highest we've had is over $60 billion, over $68 billion, close to $70 billion. After that time, we've not been able to repeat the same. So my advice will be, yes, this is an uptick. It's better than where we were 3 years ago, where we were 5 years ago. Right. We've been able to come out of a situation where we have only $12 billion in our reserve. Now we have $41 billion as reported by the Central Bank of Nigeria. What we should look at is sustainability. But you see, for this to be sustainable, we need to go beyond having portfolio investors coming to our country to invest in bonds and bills. That's buying Nigerians' bonds and buying our treasury bills. We now need to make it the other two, which has to be non-oil export. Even though oil export is good, we need to make best use of it. But most important, and as well, we need to look at what Nigerians are remitting back, from abroad to Nigeria, and remove all of those that may not make them to remit or to return such funds into Nigeria. At the end of the day, instead of having brain drain, we might lead it to brain circulation if we are getting so much in returns into our country. But of course, if we are not, then we have a lot to worry about. So if we rely on the two, which has to do with crude oil, because its volatility there may be concerned, and if we make it issue of raising bond and bills, remember that there is difference between the investment in real sector and portfolio investment. If you're having people invest in our real sector, well, that's fantastic, because that will drive overall economic performance. Or if you have people invest on road, or they're investing on energy, it's different from people looking at this stock is selling in Nigeria, they quickly come. Anytime the stock goes down, they withdraw the money, it sends back shock. So we're not able to predict. And this is what authorities must guide against, must know that whatever we are getting these monies from that is making our reserve to go up, it should be something that is sustainable and something that can last. Now, but what we bring the stability that we are looking for, with the stability come for this, there are other parameters we need to look at. One of them is budget. Look at the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Most of them have less than 40% as capital expenditure. If truly we want these to be sustainable, our budget from 2026 or 2025 is gone. None of these subnational must have less than 45%. In fact, more than 50%. And you really want it to be fast, it has to be 60%. This is the formula. The higher your capital expenditure is, at least going above 50%, the better you can translate. Because question many Nigerians have asked me yesterday is, oh, you people said foreign reserve is increasing. Why is it that we cannot feel the impact?
Which is the next question.
How does
it translate?
The pockets, the markets.
Yeah. What does it even mean for business? You know, households, and of course the overall economy. That's a fundamental
now. So
question.
the first thing is stability. I'm expecting stability to happen in exchange rate. Nigeria Central Bank has since abandoned the pure flotation, which I vehemently criticized at the time, and I've gone back in my mind and based on evidence that we can see from the economic happening to manage float. A lot of persons said manage float cannot, but we are now in a position to even practice manage float because we have some reserve that can boost confidence. So for businesses, if we are able to capitalize on this gain that we have, we can run manage float. Household, it means that the volatility and the fluctuation that we had may be relatively stable, but we have to be careful that the global oil price does not go down, because if it does, then we need to have certainly have a lot of concerns, but not to run our concerns like those days when we have a football club praying that Club B will defeat Club C. When Club D and F meet, they will play draw so that our club cannot have 11-0 again, so that we can qualify for the second round and future in quarterfinal. So that we don't have all of those, we need to take our economic destiny into our hands. How will it happen? Remember, I said budget concerns, it's the real thing. If the budget is not planned towards 60-70%, the higher you make it, the faster the impact Nigeria wants to see, the president wants to see, the governors want to see. But how will that be? The governor, the president, and local government chairman must agree that going forward, we want our capital expenditure not to be less than 60%. If that is too much, start with 50. If it's less than 50, the impact will be very slow. Another thing we could do is that a lot of people are looking, how do we get financial support in this current quagmire? And now the reserve is growing, even though this reserve does not mean money government can spend. That's not what it means. So it's very important to state that. Is import cover. We have about 10 months import cover, and that gives some level of confidence that when there are challenges, we can quickly respond. It doesn't mean government can put, we have but 1 billion. Why can't we just say to everybody? That will be non-economists. That will be voodoo. So we need to understand that that is not what it means. It also does not necessarily mean government revenue has increased significantly. It's also another thing entirely. It means when you import and you are buying your iPhone, you are buying your laptop, things we cannot produce in Nigeria, we can easily defend that import. People will not question whether Nigeria airline will not say we are not flying to your zone because we have money you are not able to release it to us in dollars. So all of those have been removed. So it's more strategic beyond just having revenues and all of those. Very, very important, and as a major indicator. That is why this should be seen as something that is in positive. However, it may go negative if we don't build our economy and build the infrastructure that we need around it. Now, so government needs to provide that stimuli for small businesses and young people in Nigeria who seems to be losing confidence in the economy. And I have advised we can design a program close to you win. Give maybe 5 million, 2 million to small businesses. put a condition, ensure you employ not less than 2 to 5 people. And what you see is that people will have confidence in the economy, and that will help them to also do business. So this will not necessarily lead to inflation because it is productive driven, and we can see a better Nigeria on the other side of the coin.
Thank you so much. I mean, President Bola Tinubu has said in almost every country he has gone to that investors is now easy in, easy out for your money in Nigeria. I guess that speaks to the confidence you're talking about, but again, it can turn negative. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul Alaje, an economist, for being here with us to break it down tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.